Okay, so Drake has responded with a leaked song called Drop and Give Me 50 Push-Ups. Let's break it down by who he sent shots at. Here's a list of everyone he fired shots at on the song, and let's get into what he says. Please, if you'd like to get this video seen by more people, if you hear something you like. So the song starts, he says, "I could never be nobody's #1 fan. Your first #1, I put it in your hand." That's clearly a reference to Way Too Sexy, which became Future's first #1 song thanks to Drake. So starting off great, Drake's doing the obvious but smart thing of showing how much above the people he's beefing with is, if nothing else, by throwing his sales and collabs at them. But even before that #1 fan line is a reference to Future's Subliminal on We Don't Trust You, where he says, "You a nigga #1 fan, dog, you sneak this in." And then he says, "You pussies can't get booked outside America for none. I'm out in Tokyo because I'm big in Japan. I'm the hit maker you'll depend on. Tough on the record, in my city it was friend zone." Which I think is hilarious. He's saying that the people he's beefing with are not big outside of America but only in Japan, evidenced by his ability to tour there while they can't, which is not exactly true for Kendrick and The Weeknd. They have toured in Japan, but unfortunately for Future that is true. He has never toured there, at least. He then goes on to say, "You won't ever take no chain off us. How the fuck you big stepping with a size 7 men's on?" That's a direct response to Kendrick talking about snatching chains on like that. Of course, he's going to lean into Kendrick's height for this diss. Even Cole did it. It's always funny because they are kind of setting themselves up to be cooked, possibly cooked by a man that they've hit with the midget line so many times. But he goes on to say, "This the bark with the bite, nigga, what's up?" Essentially saying that he's ready for action, he's not just barking. Also a nod to him being the top dog, like for all the dogs. He then says, "I know my picture on the wall when you cook up," which is a wild thought. Just imagine Kendrick, ASAP, and Future looking at Drake's picture on the wall while they plot evil against him, like in some kind of dictator. Then he goes on, "Extortion, baby, whole career you've been shook up, cause Top told you drop and give me 50 push-ups." Now this one is a crazy bar because not only is he telling them to drop and give him 50, like he's the commanding officer, he's the one at the top, but looking this up, he's also referring to their checks, with this probably being a subliminal reminder to Kendrick that he was a workhorse in someone else's house. That's TDE, or Top Dog Entertainment. That's the double entendre for the top. And being a workhorse, he was probably losing 50% of his profits to the company and his manager, Anthony Tiffits, aka Top. Then goes on to say, "Your last one bricked, you really not on shit. They make excuses for you because they hate to see me lit." This is, of course, like I said in a previous video, what I hope Drake would do. He's continuing to dig at the fact that Mr. Morales is Kendrick's shortest charting album, just like J. Cole did, and that it mostly has not had the impact of the previous one. Some might even say it has faded away by comparison. As Cole said, his last one was tragic, and that the media and the culture makes excuses for Kendrick because, I mean, of course, he's Kendrick. He has 2 classic albums, 15 Grammys, a Pulitzer. He was framed as the crown prince and savior of hip-hop, but Drake is also framing it as it's because it makes it easier to hate on Drake because it's gun pop and all that. And if they hype Kendrick, it will definitely be enough to take jabs at Drake. And that would definitely take a lot of Drake fans' fantasies. And then he says, "Pull your contract because we got to see it split. The way you doing splits, bitch, your pants might rip." Referring to all of them, really referring to how much they get on every dollar they make due to their record deals. It's a display of money, but not just money. It's a display of power. I mean, if Kendrick had a 50% split on his label, a lot of other artists, and maybe even Future, definitely have it worse. Artists that are firmly in the label system anyway. And Drake recently got not just a $500 million advance, but he also got to keep the rights to his masters. It's one of the biggest deals in music ever. That's how much power he has in the industry. The labels literally give him whatever he wants. And so that's what he's flexing on them. He then goes on to say, "You better do that motherfucking show inside Biddy," referring to Kendrick. "Maroon need a verse, you better make it witty. Then we're going to need a verse for the Swifties. Top say drop, you better drop and give them 50. This is a double shot at both Drake and Future. Both of them, but especially Kendrick, might have had the cover of being more hip-hop than Drake, but he highlights that they have been catering to the mainstream too. And sometimes in odd ways, like Kendrick doing a verse for Taylor Swift on Bad Blood, or Future doing one for Maroon 5's Cold. And so he's highlighting that. Also highlighting for his fans that they are not the anti-pop people that they say they are, and to go pop they kind of have had to latch on to other people's songs, actual pop stars songs, while Drake has been able to do it on his own. He then goes on to say, "Pip squeak pipe down, you ain't in no big 3. SZA got you wiped down, Travis got you wiped down, Savage got you wiped down." Of course, this is a jab at Kendrick once again, starting with a height reference. And at first I thought this was completely cap, and Drake was once again hyping other people because, I mean, my boy needs allies right now. The entire industry is turning against him, and he gave those guys #1 songs as well. So perhaps he's kind of calling his own Avengers. But then someone said, and Genius confirmed, those artists' last albums all outsold Mr. Morale first week. So yeah, no, it's not just cap so he can boost the spirits of other artists. That's a legit shot. And since Kendrick started shooting at the big three concept already, Drake's just like, all right, let's burn it all down. And by the way, I have some replacement suggestions. He goes on to say, like your label boy, you in a scope now. Classic Interscope reference. We've seen this being thrown around by a bunch of other Interscope artists, Eminem, MGK, 50 Cent. This one referring to Kendrick. Drake saying that his Pew Pew scope trained on him and his new PG Lang label. Then goes on to say, and you're going to feel the aftermath of what I write down. Again, an Interscope type bar, because Kendrick's former label was Aftermath, which was Dre's label underneath Interscope. Then he says, what's a prince to a king? He is son, nigga. Some lines are obvious, but they are so satisfying to hear because they're so obvious. Because Kendrick, while he couldn't escape it, cornered himself by accepting that he was the prince to Drake's MJ on Like That and another songs in the past. And so if K. Dot is Prince, well, that's what he is. Meanwhile, Drake, like Michael, who was the king of pop, is king. And of course, he sons him at the end of that bar. I mean, there's more where that came from and an extra meaning to that, because I'm guessing Drake did bring Kendrick out on his first big tour, so in some ways Kendrick can be sonned by him. Also, another meaning to the line, the son of a king is literally a prince. Also, Michael Jackson's son is literally called Prince Jackson. Yeah, it's like quadruple entendre. I lost count. Anyway, he goes on to say, I get more love in the city that you from, nigga. He's really trying to bury Kendrick. And this is an interesting line. This is one of those bars that is hard to verify without seeing the background analytics for who has more fans in Kendrick's hometown of Compton. Like, you have to check maybe their Spotify streaming. It's stuff that they can see. Spotify streaming and how many tickets they're able to sell in certain places. But also, it could easily apply to everyone except maybe The Weeknd, because he and Drake are both from Toronto and The Weeknd has a really large fan base there too. But because he's Drake, the default audience opinion, since we can't verify, will be that he's bigger than all of them in their own hometowns. And like I said earlier, this section of the Drake diss is really trying to bury Kendrick under the weight of his success, and it's insane. And then he switches to Metro for what is probably the funniest line on the song. He says, Metro, shut your whole ass up and make some drums, nigga. And that's it. The person who arguably has the most real beef with Drake, the backbone of the civil war. And Drake's just like, bro, you're not even a rapper. Shut up. He goes on to say, yeah, I'm the sixth god, I'm the front runner. Your manager was Chubb's little blunt runner. Not sure who this shot is at, but if it's true, then it's really interesting. Essentially, he's saying that one of their managers was Chubb's, Drake's head of security, blunt runner, which is basically his coffee boy, which, I mean, he's probably making some kind of parallel, but if that is literally what happened, that would be insane. Then he goes on to say, claim the six, and you boys ain't even come from it, and when you boys got rich, you had to run from it. So now he turns his attention to The Weeknd, and this specifically directed at his managers who claimed Toronto, but also at Abel himself, because I mean, like he says on After Hours and songs like Escape from LA, he's trying to leave LA and go over to somewhere else because he lives in LA. He kind of ran from Toronto too. But it could also be them that he's dismissing as Chubb's blunt runners, which wouldn't be that crazy because The Weeknd did almost get signed to Drake. He's basically saying that the entire EXO team is an illegitimate group claiming Toronto when they have no real sway over the city, which is why when they got rich, they moved out. And then he goes on to say, cash blowing able bread out here tricking. Shit we do for bitches, he doing for niggas. Now, this is an interesting bar because he's acknowledging that The Weeknd is a massive draw and being fed money because that's the only way those songs get the traction that they need, which I guess is interesting. I would have thought he would try to malign Abel and make him seem smaller, but he probably knows that's not a good idea, especially not in the long run with The Weeknd's numbers currently. But I think he's also doing that to slight Metro and Future by saying that The Weeknd is doing them a favor of being on the songs, and that's kind of like the favors that rappers do for women. And he's probably also hyping Abel because he's not a rapper, so not a threat, or at least a very limited threat, because Abel has thrown shots at him in the past. He goes on to say, jets, whips, chained, wicked, 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 probably a reference to Future's Wicked song. Then spend it like you trying to fuck, boy, you tripping. Drizzy, Chip and Dale probably got your bitch Chanel. I just got him done, boy, don't make me have to chip a nail. Now, I thought that was a great rhyme scheme, probably one of the most satisfying parts of this song to listen to. Some fillerish lines, but essentially he's probably referring to Abel and Future, who with both of them, there have been rumors that their beef was caused by Drake's interactions with their girlfriends at the time, with The Weeknd's being Bella Hadid. He's also saying that he's currently gotten clean and gotten his nails done, which is something he has been known to do, and he doesn't want to get them dirty. Then he goes on to say, Rolling Loud stage, y'all were turns, that was sick as hell, apparently referencing the betrayal of Future and Metro playing the unfinished version of Like That at the Rolling Loud concert with Drake. And yeah, that must have hurt. This was a version without Kendrick's verse, of course. It goes on to say, lucky that your dog, Lil BM, doesn't kiss and tell. BM meaning baby mama. Some people have said that this is a reference to A$AP Rocky, and it fits because that's someone that Drake has beef with, their baby mama. But it's unlikely because this line would have had to have been added earlier today to combat A$AP's lines from just about 24 hours ago on Future's new album. But it does fit, and he's probably saying that while A$AP thinks that he got to Rihanna first, like he says on Show of Hands, that if Rihanna was being really truthful, that would change A$AP's view of the situation. But that would be interesting because Rihanna has never acted like Drake got there first, though that might explain some of Drake's simp-like mania. Yeah, so he goes on to say, hugs and kisses, man, don't tell me about no switches. I be rocking every fucking chain I own next I visit. I be with some bodyguards like Whitney, okay? Top say, drop your little midget ass better fucking. And then he goes into the chorus, a very obscure reference on this double entendre. On one hand, he's referencing being like Whitney Houston in the Bodyguard movie, but also, and slightly more interestingly, and maybe even slightly more dangerous, Whitney is the name of Kendrick's wife. And that's crazy because the last time that he called someone's wife's name, they came out and arguably destroyed Drake's street cred, and their name was Pusha T. And with that second line right after and the line right before talking about visiting, well, I don't think he can say that he wasn't thinking about Kendrick. And then he goes on to say, just right after a little chorusy lines, niggas got me out here talking like I'm 50, niggas got me out here rapping what I'm living. So two lines clearly referring to 50 Cent, referring to both how 50 Cent had to go to war with a lot of rappers back in the day with a song called How to Rob, and with 50 having survived getting shot 9 times, Drake is also sort of claiming to be as invincible as 50. What he's rapping being both that, and that being both a reference to 50 rapping about his real life rough experiences and Drake rapping about literally being so far above everyone else that there is no need for him to lie. He goes on to say, I might take your latest girl and cuff her like I'm Ricky. Can't believe he jumping in. This nigga turning 50. Every song that made it on the charts he got from Drizzy. Now this is a direct fly swatting. He even name drops him at Rick Ross, who unfollowed Drake when the beef started and then posted on IG a story of himself listening to and enjoying Kendrick's diss from Like That. And he's talking about how he doesn't understand how he's pushing 50 and still getting involved in nonsense like this, and also flexing that he's so powerful that he will take anyone's girl. And then he says, worry about whatever going on between you and which is a jab at Ross again, telling him to worry about the allegations probably coming his way due to his affiliation with Diddy, who, as we know, is currently trying not to be a US citizen. And the fact that he keeps from saying Diddy by using a sample of Rick Ross's as an ad-lib is hilarious, to say the least. He then goes to say, I shout out to the Hooper that be busting out the Gritty, and then that's a shot at Jam who apparently chose Metro's side in this war, and he is an NBA player that dances like this. Then goes on to say, I know why you mad, nigga. I ain't even tripping. I ain't even rapping after this. I'm way too busy. And I think he's coming back to Kendrick with this, saying that he understands why he's mad, probably assuming that, as he has always assumed, that Kendrick is jealous of his success, and also saying that he's not even rapping out of this. He's way too busy. So he's pointing out that it's not like he's been successfully sitting on his ass. He's constantly dropping music and touring and cutting deals, as opposed to Kendrick, who barely even drops music, the one thing he's supposed to be doing. To say this is for all the top dogs, drop and give me 50, drop, and that fucking song y'all got is not starting beef with us. This shit been brewing in a pot and I'm healing up. I don't care what Cole think. That Dutch shit is weak as fuck. Champagne tripping, he's not fucking easy enough. Nigga called up top to see if top want to piece it up. Pussy, now you on your own when you speaking up. You don't roll deep into this, it's not fucking deep enough. Begging Kaiser not when you've not fucking beaten us. So this whole section is really interesting. He talks about how the Like That diss didn't start the beef between him and Kendrick. That's been a long time coming, probably since the Control verse. And that despite Cole seemingly running away like the diss was all that, he views it as weak. And he also impersonates someone who, I don't know who it is, but this is not doing J. Cole any favors, because it sounds like someone who might have tried to squash the beef and make peace, and he calls that person a pussy, saying that they rolled into the situation, but they chickened out, they didn't roll in deep enough. And I hope he's not talking about my boy Cole, but I'm not delusional, and I said that apology was dumb in a previous video, and now you see what we have to deal with. To be fair, a friend of mine did say that Cole probably heard this is what Drake was cooking with the name calling and even the wife name calling, and he was like, nah, I'm out. But what I really want to know is, who is begging Kai Cenat for a collab? Which one of these really famous and influential people Then it goes on to say, numbers wise, I'm out of here, you're not fucking creeping up. Money wise, I'm out of here, you're not fucking sneaking up. Cornball, you show your money. Merch, money fee to us. I'ma let you niggas work it out because I've seen enough. This ain't even everything I know, don't make a demon up. This ain't even everything I know, don't make a demon up. Drop and give me 50, or you fucking niggas teaming up. Once again, he's flexing his wealth and questioning if theirs is even close to his or even as big as they say it is, because he might have an idea of what their cuts are. He's saying that he knows things that maybe they don't want him to know, and that would be dangerous. And after this part, these lyrics might have been removed from the final version of the song, but they were on the demo. And so yeah, here Drake says, what teaming up with all of you, falling like some dominoes, bros turning hoes, dog like I ain't got enough of those. I can't wait to see how far you niggas get into reach now. This is the closest thing you niggas get into a feature now. Backpedaling gang, because a few of you all been reaching out. Y'all drew the line. What the fuck we gotta speak about? Get your fucking head tapped. You niggas get to peeking out. You had a song for 4 years. Drop that shit and shut your mouth. Then continues and goes on to say, shut your mouth, nigga. It's me twice in my big three. I had to leave you out. Fucking dumbass nigga. So basically, some people might have already tried to go back and be like, yo, Drake, it's not like that. But he's not hearing it. And this is the closest thing that they get into a feature now, and he doesn't think that Kendrick is even in the big three conversation, which I guess he still thinks maybe Cole is, but he's saying that he takes up 2 spots, which is hilarious. And my review of this basically is, I mean, this sounds really good, much better than Cole's warning shot. Some people are saying that it's weak, and I think they're just like, come on. I'm pretty evenly split across these 3 artists. I didn't want Cole to get involved with beef at all. I was kind of pissed that Kendrick was the gun that was fired by Metro and Future. But like, you have to be able to see how all of their disses so far, well, Cole's is a lot weak actually, but this and the like that diss are very heavy, especially since Drake is taking on multiple people on this song, and he's clearly taking things a lot more personally. He's being a lot more petty, as he has been for years, but it's good for battle rap. That's why what made 50 Cent, who he name drop, and Eminem such good ones. They're petty as hell and they bring the energy, and he really touched as many possible bases and sent prominent shots in every direction, except really ASAP Rocky's, because like I said, the timing of this. And so I think this is at least an 8 out of 10 diss for now, and for how it accomplishes so many things. And someone on Twitter once said, the fact that they have to gang up on him is a win in itself. Like, that's what it takes for him to properly, openly respond to even Kendrick, for instance. It's crazy that he's really set himself up looking like Thanos, and J. Cole was his Nebula. He even switched sides. And it's looking so good for Drake by him doing this, because being recognized as an Avengers level threat, look at how we consider the likes of Thanos. Even though he loses, and Drake might very well still lose, especially if Kendrick and Pusha T get together for something, yeah, you can't not give him his respect. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the video.